Okay, so I have been asked multiple times by one of my subscribers, and maybe when you watch this, hello, what are the limits of revision? Can we, for example, revise having completely different parents? Can we revise always haven't been celebrities or always haven't been rich, and then would we go to a timeline where we always have been celebrities or different parents or different cultures, born in a different country, different nationality, different race? And I believe that here we do have our limits. And I also believe that these limits are actually important, because otherwise we may just get overwhelmed. Imagine you wanted to manifest having been born to different parents. And also when we talk about quantum immortality, we are living the same life over and over and over again. So I think the parents will stay the same. It is just the relationship with the parents may be different from timeline to timeline, but the parents will stay the same. But imagine you could manifest having completely different parents. That would mean living most likely in a different house, different friends, different school you went to, like everything would have been different. And then imagine you come from your timeline and jump to this timeline where everything is completely different. How would you cope with that? I don't believe that that is possible, because we might go crazy. It reminds me of people who have an accident and lose all of their memories and everything is gone, and you just have to start completely all over. You don't know anything about who you are. But here we have somebody who knows who they are, who have their memories. And that's the thing, when we change timelines, we take our memories into the other timeline. So you would all of a sudden have parents that you've never met before, and they're like, okay, we're your parents, and you're like, what? No, I've never seen you. You would have gone to a different school, maybe you would have learned a different job, but you took your old memories into this new timeline. That would be too much to cope with. So I don't think that that is possible. I mean, when we talk about quantum immortality, all of the different scenarios have been created, yes, but I believe that the setting, like the parents, are the same. Otherwise it would be a completely different you. If you would want to revise your childhood and having different parents, you can do that, but not in having different parents. But if every different outcome exists and those parents are your parents, and let's say they were treating you in a very bad way when you were a child, so you do have some trauma, you can revise that you've had an amazing childhood with your parents, because that version of them, that version of your childhood also exists. However, you would still have your old memories, but energetically you would reprogram yourself into, no, I'm the person who had this very happy childhood. Which then of course means that once your self-concept changes, that will determine your future manifestations, how things come to you, your future relationships. But as I said, you will keep your memories. I mean, I did revise my entire childhood and I still have old memories, but you just don't think about that. You don't resonate with them. It's a bit like when you wake up from a dream that you remember, but it doesn't feel real because you know it was a dream. So you don't even think about that anymore. You don't go to that anymore, to that memory, because it's like, man, it doesn't feel like it's part of you anymore. So when you revise your happy childhood and you create new memories, you don't overwrite old memories. You just see energy, your self-concept, then it's getting pushed out. What happened to me was that I experienced a change of dynamic in my family situations. I don't want to get into details here because it's quite personal, but it really got me to a place with some family members I never thought I could go there, in the best positive ways. I never thought it would be possible. So yes, the revision technique, it does work, but if you want to revise, for example, that was one of the questions, to have been born a celebrity or into a celebrity family, you would not wake up in this timeline and all of a sudden you're a celebrity. What would happen then is you reprogram your subconscious mind into taking on the energy of celebrity, and then something would happen that you become a celebrity. However it is. If you're a singer, then maybe you get, somebody finds your music and you have your big breakthrough, or you record songs for YouTube and then you have the big breakthrough, or however it is, you know. I mean, there's so many reality stars right now, or Instagram, there's so many ways to get famous now. When you reprogram yourself as being a celebrity, you will still go through the process of becoming a celebrity. It would not be you jump back in time. But if you have the desire of being born a celebrity, then there is a version of you that has been born into a celebrity family, and not into another family, but then your family, every outcome is possible, would have been somehow celebrities, and you would have been born to the same parents who are celebrities in that timeline, and then make that experience. But that is nothing you can manifest experiencing now due to quantum immortality. If you want to know what quantum immortality is, watch my death series playlist. But due to quantum immortality, you would then, in another life where you still are you, experience that. The same is being born a different race. I don't know if that is possible when you're always born to the same parents, because I believe that that is what is happening. If you are you will have make all of the different experiences with your parents. But I don't know if that is possible. However, with the law of assumption, you can change the color of your skin. I mean, you can do it now. We have chemicals with bronzer or bleaching. But also I have seen people affirming getting lighter or darker skin. So that is something that you could do. But I don't think that you can change your entire race. Can you change being born into a different country? I don't think that is possible. I think that, again, when you revise, you don't all of a sudden have, I don't know, an American passport when you were born in Europe. But if you revise to be born in America, then you would rather somehow get a passport. I don't know, maybe you would win a green card or something like that. So the revision technique would not help you jump from this timeline to a completely different timeline, but it would set things in motion to get you to where you want to go. So the example with the parents, what I would suggest rather is not to revise to have different parents, but to revise your relationship to your parents and turn that into the best possible way in your revision, and then getting those assumptions and programs in. Yeah, because I think if we couldn't make those drastic jumps and changes, how do we process that? It would be too much. And I do have a story that I found I want to read to you now. I wanted to share something that I've been experiencing for about a year now. I had a dream in 2020 for the first time where I went to sleep and woke up in my other life. That's the only way I can describe it. It was in a different house with a different family, yet everything felt so familiar, and the dream felt like I woke up on the other side of real life. In the dream, I could recall my current life, but I knew that the life in my dream was the real one. My bedroom in the dream was so familiar and felt like I had always lived there. I had memories of buying the end tables that were in my dream, and I could remember my daily to-do list on that side as well, and I remember feeling overwhelmed with all the things I had to get done. I also had a husband and child in that dream that were not the same as the husband and child I have on this side. I would say the dream only lasted 20 minutes, but in the dream it was a few days. I remember falling asleep in the dream and thinking how I didn't want the flip to happen again and how I would miss my family, but also feeling like I wanted to go back to my current family. Since having that first dream, I feel like I opened a connection of some sort to the two timelines, as since then I have gone back in that world in my dreams at least 12 other times. All times I go back in a different part of that timeline, but always have the same house as the first time and the same husband and daughter. It frightens me when this happens because I am always still conscious of this side. It has really made me question alternate realities or multiple timelines, and also question why I was able to experience this the first time that I did. So now you heard, we do have the story about this woman. For her it was a dream, but if she can remember it that vividly, then it must be a different timeline. And she does have a different family, but not the origin family, you know, the parents, but different husband, different child. And she constantly in her dreams switched there, but she described it as something that was more than just a dream, more intense than just being a dream. And the confusion and I think that it would be too much to manifest that. I don't think it's possible. I mean, if you have experienced that, if you're watching this or you have heard it, please post it in the comments below, because I'm always interested. I mean, I am an academic, right? So I'm always interested in thinking about things. I mean, I did study philosophy as a minor subject. So that is the way I think I want to understand it, and I want to go through different scenarios. And of course, as someone who channels, that is where I get my information. But can I say that what I say is 100% true? No, it is not. It's just based on what I've researched, based on what I have learned about the holographic universe, about different timelines, about quantum immortality. So that is the information, and I gather that out of that and what I give to you. But I don't think it is possible. I have never heard of it being possible in that way. The closest I have ever heard is that story I just read to you. But I think that it is not possible because it would be too much. Because we take our memories into the other timeline, and imagine you go into another timeline and you have no memories from that timeline. And you know, as I just said, your parents, you have other parents and you've never met them before, and all of a sudden they're your parents. That could be traumatizing. That could be complete loss of identity. That would probably have you end up in a psych ward. How do you process that? It's too much. So I don't think it's possible, and I think it's not meant to be possible because it's too much. Another thing that I would like to point out is that this actually reminds me of Philip K. Dick. I did an entire series on his speech where he also recalls all of a sudden remembering past lives, how he died, and how those worlds were greatly different. One difference is that Philip K. Dick is not so much talking about personal differences like this lady remembering another family, but more about how the world was vastly different, how politics were different, and how that affected the people in his country. So if you're interested in that, on switching timelines and all of a sudden remembering completely different lives of theirs, then you can check out the Philip K. Dick playlist. But I think it is fascinating because in the Death series playlist, we usually just die due to quantum immortality, jump back a little bit in time or ahead, and then experience the same life again. But I also said that some timelines may greatly differ, timeline A to timeline infinite. In this story, and also in the Philip K. Dick speech, we do have some of these really great jumps that then of course are a lot to process, and naturally that can feel extremely overwhelming.
The title of my address is, "If you find this world bad, you should see some of the others." If you have followed my conjectures about the overlapping of these alternate worlds, and you sense as I do the possibility that if there are 3 or 4 or 2, there may be 30 or 3,000 of them, and that some of us live in this one, others of us in another one, others in others, and that events on one track cannot be perceived by persons not in that track. Well, let me say what I want to say and be done with it. I think I once experienced a track in which the Savior returned, but I experienced it just briefly. I am not there now. I'm not sure I ever was. Certainly I may never be again. I grieve for that loss, but loss it is. Somehow I moved laterally, but then fell back, and then it was gone. I can even tell you what caused me to remember. In late February of 1974, I was given sodium pentothal for the extraction of impacted wisdom teeth. Later that day, back home again, but still deeply under the influence of the sodium pentothal, I had a short, acute flash of recovered memory. In one instant, I caught it all, but immediately rejected it. Rejected it, however, with the realization that what I had retrieved in the way of buried memories was authentic. Then, in mid-March, a month later, the total body of memories, intact, and entire began to return. You are free to believe me or to disbelieve, but please take my word on it that I am not joking. This is very serious, a matter of importance. I am sure that at the very least you will agree that for me, even to claim this is in itself amazing. People claim to remember past lives. I claim to remember a different, very different present life. I know of no one who has ever made this claim before, but I rather suspect that my experience is not unique. What perhaps is unique is the fact that I am willing to talk about it. If you have followed me this far, I would like you to be kind enough to go a little further with me. I would like to share with you something I knew that is retrieved along with the blocked off memories. In March of 1974, the payoff, the results of at least one and possibly more of the reprogrammed variables lying along the linear timeline of our past set in. What happened between March and August of 1974 was the result of at least one reprogrammed variable laid down perhaps 30 years before, setting into motion a thread of change which culminated in what I am sure you will admit was a spectacularly important and unique historical event, the forced removal from office of a President of the United States, Richard Nixon, as well as all those associated with him. In the alternative world which I remembered, the civil rights movement, the anti-war movements of the 60s had failed, and evidently, in the mid-70s, Nixon was not removed from power. That which deposed him, if anything indeed existed that did oppose him or could oppose him, was inadequate. Therefore, one or more factors tending toward that destruction of the entrenched tyrannical power had retroactively to us come to be introduced.
Anyway, I'm interested in what you think about it. Please leave your comments below. Please check out the Death series playlist where I talk about quantum immortality, or my other manifesting playlist, my subliminals and affirmations tracks, and I do see you there on personal coaching. Until then, as usually, I wish you all the best now. Bye-bye. If you want to book your own custom-made affirmation or subliminal, you will find my contact information in the description box below.